Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 11 Episode 2. As is the norm with all my reviews, I won't be holding back on any spoilers, so please do keep that in mind. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. This episode begins exactly where last week's cliffhanger ending left things, with Maggie desperately trying to fend off walkers, and then it cuts to the opening credits. Now, I quickly want to talk about this opening because I did not like it. Now, before all the hardcore Walking Dead fans jump in the comments and say that all Josh does is moan about The Walking Dead, I want to quickly say that I did really enjoy this video, but I didn't like this opening, so I do want to quickly talk about it. So we had this really short scene of Maggie being attacked, followed by this quick cut to the opening credits, and it felt like this scene was there just to try and get a reaction from the viewers. It was there to try and make viewers say, oh my god, is Maggie going to die? And try and get those who are watching it live when it's on live next week tweeting AMC going, oh my god, are they going to kill Maggie? I just don't think it was needed. I don't think we need scenes of characters who we know are going to survive. We don't need these scenes of them being attacked and then cutting to somewhere else, because it's just stupid. We know they're not going to die. What's the point? It just feels cheap. It just fell flat to me, and as an opening it just immediately annoyed me and just got my back up immediately. I was like, oh no, this is not good. But maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe this is the opening literally because it just follows on from the last episode. I don't know. Something about the way it was shot and just how quick it was, and yeah, just the cutaway just annoyed me. But I enjoyed the rest of the episode, so let's talk about that. So I knew Maggie would survive, and survive she does, because like her husband Glenn, she also has a talent for crawling underneath small spaces. She crawls underneath the train and then makes her way to the carriage where the rest of the protagonists are stationed. Trains, stationed, get it? Alright, let's move on. To be honest, this isn't how I expected Maggie to escape the walkers. I said last week that I thought she was going to go through the same rubble that Daryl went through to find Dog, and I kind of expected them two to meet each other this episode, and these two would be together whilst Negan would be on his own. And I was kind of looking forward to seeing Negan on his own a bit longer without Maggie, because I wanted to see if Negan would assert himself over the rest of the protagonists once Maggie wasn't there, and see if he would try to take the command a bit more and see how he was going to cope with trying to keep this lie going about what happened to her. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed that we didn't see that. It just wasn't what I was expected, because what we got was really good as well. But yeah, definitely I didn't expect another kind of dumpster gate scenario. Alright, I'm being a bit facetious. This wasn't like the dumpster gate, but yeah, I didn't expect The Walking Dead to have another character survive by crawling under somewhere. Maggie reunites with Negan and the rest of the protagonists about 20 minutes into the episode, I believe, and I really enjoyed their scenes together once again, as I did last week. I still stand by the fact that what Negan did to Maggie, leaving her, is a dick move, but I said last week that he had his reasons, and in this episode he explicitly states his reasons. He said to Maggie, not long ago, you literally said you were going to kill me just a minute ago, so that's why I left you, because you're threatening to kill me. And let's be honest, if the shoe was on the other foot, I believe Maggie would have just left Negan. If she had the chance to and there was no one there to stop her, no one around, she would have left Negan. She would have gone back and said, oh, Negan fell, or, made some excuse, because she wants him dead. So I understand why he did it, and she would have done exactly the same if she were in his situation. Obviously, that doesn't make what Negan did to her any easier for her to swallow, and as predicted, she is pissed that he left her, and that just makes what happens next after these two reunite even harder to watch. So Gage, who went missing last episode, returns, and he's made his way onto the carriage behind the one where our protagonists are, and the door is locked. Being the moron that he is, he's got onto the train, but he didn't shut the door behind him, so a shit ton of walkers are now about to board the train and, well, eat him and kill him, basically. And he says to Maggie, look, please help me. Please try and open the door and help me and save me. And Maggie just coldly says no. So let's just think about this, because literally like a minute ago, Maggie was moaning at Negan saying, you left me behind, how could you do that? But then Gage says, can you save me? And she just goes, nah, sorry mate, you're dead. I know the situations are different, right? I know you could argue that Maggie's doing it for the greater good and to protect the rest of the crew and whatever, and Negan just did it for his own self-interest because he wanted her dead. But I don't know, I still felt a bit kind of ironic and a bit contradictory that a couple of minutes earlier she's moaning at Negan for not saving her, yet she just doesn't even try to save Gage and just leaves him to die. Of course, part of me thinks that Maggie left Gage outside because she was thinking about the rest of the group and she didn't want them to die and get eaten by walkers. But there's also a part of me that just thinks she did it to punish Gage. This was almost her way of saying, this is what happens to you if you side with Negan. Let Gage be an example. I'm going to leave him to die because he pissed me off and he sided with Negan. I mean, the fact that Gage calls Maggie a liar when she says to him, sorry, I can't help you, does kind of put doubts into my mind. I mean, the Maggie of old would have at least tried to save this guy. I mean, at the very least, she would have said, sorry, you're going to have to stay there, and tried to show sympathy for a dude who is about to get ripped to pieces, but she doesn't give a fuck. She's just like, no, sorry, you're dead. Maggie does try to explain away her reaction after he dies when she comes up with some story about what happened when she left Hilltop, and I think she says she came into contact with some women who were like amputated, had their arms and legs chopped off, and they're all sewn up, and they were pregnant, I believe, and she had to kill them. And it's a pretty fucked up story. And obviously, since we last saw Maggie, she's become more of a messed up person and more of a harsher person. So she does try and give a reason, but I still feel bad. I still feel like Gage didn't deserve that death. I still agree with Alden, that it wasn't what he deserved. And I mean, I'm not going to be shedding any tears over Gage's death by any means. I mean, this guy was a dick. If I remember correctly, didn't he bully Lydia and try to attack her? So yeah, I mean, he was an absolute douchebag, but I still think that they should have tried to save him at least, or tried to do something, or at least showed sympathy to the dude when he's going to die, not just be like, nope, sorry, you're dead, get fucked. That's what it felt like. She didn't even say, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt kind of harsh in my opinion. I think that this is going to be a scene which massively divides the audience. There's going to be some people who just say that, no, Maggie did the right thing because it would have put the rest of the group in danger. Whereas there's going to be other people who I think share my view. And I like that. I like that this is going to be a divisive topic, and I am looking forward to reading your comments, seeing what you think about this. I have to admit, I did expect Negan to just bust down the door and save Gage after Maggie said no. So once again, we could all talk about how Negan's changed and how, he's always saving people. But I'm glad the writers didn't go down that predictable route, and I'm glad that they chose the avenue which we got. Gage's death itself was arguably one of the most horrific in the entire show. It reminded me a bit of Noah's death, and yeah, it was just horrible, really. I mean, it was kind of sad that he stabbed himself and he didn't even try to put up a fight, but given the situation he was in, killing yourself is better than being ripped apart alive. Moving away from Maggie and Negan for a moment, we also caught up with Daryl as he searched underground to try and find Dog. Daryl did eventually make his way to the other side of the train and then helped out our protagonist by opening the door and taking out the walkers and, yeah, basically saved their skins. Now, I'm not usually one to comment on things like cinematography or, things like that in my reviews because, to be honest, I'm not an expert on that by any means, and I know sometimes people in the comments say, oh, you missed out on talking about how well shot the episode was and stuff like that, but look, I don't really know a lot about it, so I don't really mention it. I mean, I'm not like one of those people on Red Letter Media who like to talk about Swedish angles.
It's actually called Dutch camera angles, you moron.
What?
There's no such thing as Swedish camera angles, buddy.
Well, maybe there should be such a thing as Swedish camera angles. I mean, have you asked the Swedes if they want their own camera angles? I bet you haven't, you racist.
My God, I thought I was the idiot.
Anyway, my reviews, I normally just stick to talking about the plot because I feel like that's the most important thing. I mean, you can spend hours making a show look amazing, but if the plot is terrible, then that's all irrelevant in my opinion. However, I will say the scene in which the camera was positioned outside the train and we were kind of looking through the windows as we saw Daryl make his way down each carriage with pistol in one hand and his flashlight in the other, taking out walkers like he was Leon S. Kennedy, was just, mwah, chef kiss. That was just a beautifully shot scene. And I say this as someone who doesn't really notice this kind of stuff, but I watched that and I was like, yeah, this is bloody good. And overall, I do have to say that this episode, as well as the season premiere, both look fantastic. I mean, everything just looks much sharper than it used to be. Again, I'm not technically minded when it comes to cameras and, cinematography and all that kind of stuff, but it definitely seems like the visuals have taken, that they've been upgraded since past seasons. Yeah, everything just feels much better shot, high quality, almost feels like a movie at times. I was getting really strong Resident Evil and Dead Space vibes with the eerie train setting, and it seemed like something that you'd get out of a classic survival horror video game. And when people compare things to video games, they normally say, they normally do that in a derogatory way. If you're comparing a TV show to a video game, it's normally not a good thing, but this is a good thing to make me feel like some of the best survival horror games out there. Yeah, it's a good thing. I really like the direction which Angela Kang has taken in these last 2 episodes. So there you go. I've spoken about cinematography and cameras and shit. So you cinema snobs, just please leave me alone and stop saying, oh, why doesn't he talk about the cameras or the soundtrack? Because I'm just a dumb dude from England who likes talking about storylines in shows. I'm not, professional. I'm not from Red Letter Media. So there you go. Stick that down your throat and stop moaning about my lack of education, can't even talk. Moving on, we also had some scenes at the Commonwealth, which were good, but I feel they were definitely the weaker part of this episode. I did find it a bit strange that Yumiko, Princess, and Eugene were just back in their cell after trying to escape last week, and they just must have walked back in and no one said, hey, where have you been? I don't know, it didn't really make much sense to me. But then the escape plan last week was a bit strange as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it turns out I made a mistake last week when I said that it was Yumiko's sister at the Commonwealth, because it actually turns out that it's her brother who's staying there. And I really liked the scene in which Yumiko basically put the Commonwealth auditors in their place and basically told them how it was. I think that was a really strong scene from her and one of her best moments from the show so far. She made a really good point about the Commonwealth's use of money. And if I remember correctly, I don't recall the Commonwealth in the comics using money. Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't remember it. Like I said previously in other videos, I do need to read the Commonwealth arc again because I have forgotten a lot about it. But it does make sense that the Commonwealth would use money and, use currency, because the Commonwealth is a very unequal society. At least it is in the comics. And, money is good at controlling people and good at keeping the rich richer and keeping, inequality rampant. And people in the comments are probably going to think I'm a fucking communist now. I'm not a communist. I like money. I just never have enough money. Anyway, I liked how the Commonwealth gradually removed Ezekiel and Princess and Yumiko, leaving just Eugene on his own because they thought they could break him. But to Eugene's credit, he actually stood his ground. I really thought that he was going to spill the beans when Mercer was questioning him, but he actually gave quite a convincing answer when he lied about saying that he pretended to be from a community when he was talking to Stephanie, which of course we know isn't the truth. And it's quite ironic that Mercer was saying to him, you're a bad liar, don't lie to me, you're a bad liar, because we know Eugene is actually a very good liar, because he was basically playing Rosita and Abe for a fool for God knows for how long before they ran into Glenn and the rest of the crew. So we know he's a very good liar, and I think the Commonwealth are majorly underestimating him, which could come back to bite them in the arse. I want to quickly say that Mercer's face when Eugene was talking about being a virgin and how he had watched people have sex more times than he cared to mention, yeah, it just made me laugh. And I think Mercer's great so far. I'm really liking him. I think, there's another side to him besides being this serious Commonwealth guard, and I think he's going to be a good character. Stephanie, Eugene's muse, appears at the end of the episode, except I'm not actually sure that it's the real Stephanie, because I remember reading that Margot Bingham was cast as Stephanie. This woman here is not Margot Bingham, so I don't know, did they change the actor for Stephanie, or more likely this could be a fake Stephanie who the Commonwealth are using to try and get information out of Eugene because they still don't trust him. So this is interesting, so we'll see what comes of this. The episode ends with Maggie and co being attacked by the Reapers, and it looks like we're in for an action-packed episode next week, which I'm really looking forward to. And this guy dies, whose name I can't remember, so I guess that's sad. All in all, I think this was a really good episode. I think I might have actually preferred it to the season premiere. I think the stuff with Negan and Maggie was great. I like the Commonwealth stuff. I like the horror setting. Daryl was awesome. I mean, I didn't even mention the fact that he put a grenade in Walker's mouth and kicked him back and blew him up. Yeah, I really like Gage's death, and I like that it's going to be this big talking point in the fan base. Did Maggie do the right thing? Did she not do the right thing? Could they have saved him, etc.? And I like that. I like moments when the things aren't black and white in The Walking Dead. I like that when we get those moments like that. And that's what was a good episode. I mean, yes, I did have a few minor complaints about the opening and stuff at the Commonwealth, but look, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. I've got complaints about a few scenes, and that's about it. Overall, I thought this was another strong episode. Really well shot. Yeah, I really liked it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And I shall see you all very soon. Take care. Goodbye.